Hi, hello everyone. Welcome to Astrologer Climate Witness tonight. Um, I've been trying to make sure I do more videos, and this is a pretty quick. I thought of things this morning, what to do as far. I have a flood of things all the time as to what I want to do as far as videos. It's very difficult for me to like hone it all down and decide on the astrological correspondence to the articles that I'm doing. And I think that what I've come to terms with is there's no specific correlation to any of this. Everything that is happening can be correlated to pretty much anything that's happening astrologically. That might sound like a cop-out, I don't know. But for instance, tonight I'm doing an article or reading an article on recycling. Now, I've done a lot on Pluto and Capricorn, but again, a lot of this comes down to that being the main theme that we're dealing with right now, okay? Ever since 2008. Once Pluto goes into Aquarius, my tendency will probably be oriented more towards how power is being used by the science part of our lives, but then again, how we can transform by knowing science. Okay, we know the science of climate change is real. I'm not going to paintbrush all science as bad. It isn't. That's not my point at all. But, we have corporations that try to use science and wield it as a power tool by allowing them to make profit over hand over foot, hand over hand. And both things will be true. That science is a positive and science is a negative, just like everything else. I'm not necessarily a conventionally oriented religious person. In general, I don't particularly gravitate to any use of conventional religion, but it has its positives, in some ways, for some people, because religiosity and spirituality is a journey. Okay. Anyways, let me get started with my article that I want to read. So, here we go. This is from NPR, WSKG. Recycling plastic is practically impossible, and the problem is getting worse. The vast majority of plastic that people use, and in many cases put into blue recycling bins, is headed to landfills or worse, according to a report from Greenpeace on the state of plastic recycling in the U.S. The report cites separate data published this May, which revealed that the amount of plastic actually turned into new things has fallen to new lows of around 5%. That number is expected to drop further as more plastic is produced. Greenpeace found that no plastic, not even soda bottles, one of the most prolific items thrown into recycling bins, meets the threshold to be called recyclable, according to standards set by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation New Plastic Economy Initiative. Plastic must have a recycling rate of 30% to reach that standard. No plastic has ever been recycled and reused close to that rate. More plastic is being produced, and an even smaller percentage of it is being recycled, says Lisa Ramsden, Senior Plastic Campaigner of Greenpeace USA. The crisis just gets worse and worse, and without drastic change, will continue to worsen as the industry plans to triple plastic production by 2050. Waste management experts say the problem with plastic is that it is expensive to collect and sort. I mean, really? It's being collected by big dump trucks that use diesel fuel? That's just one aspect of that whole thing. There are now thousands of different types of plastic, and none of them can be melted down together. Plastic also degrades after 1 or 2 uses. Greenpeace found the more plastic is used, the more toxic it becomes. New plastic, on the other hand, is cheap and easy to produce. The result is that plastic trash has few markets, a reality the public has not wanted to hear. Trent Carpenter, the general manager of Southern Oregon Sanitation, says when they told customers a couple of years ago that they could no longer take any plastic trash other than soda bottles and jugs like milk containers and detergent bottles, people were upset. They wanted to put their strawberry containers, bags, yogurt cups, and all manner of plastic in their recycling bin. This is a big thing, okay? I'm trying to deal with all this, and I have an idea for myself. We had to re-educate individuals that a great deal of that material is ending up in a landfill. It's not going to a recycling facility and being recycled. It is going to a recycling facility and being landfilled someplace else because you can't do anything with that material. That message has been difficult for the public to absorb with so many different bins in public places, spaces, and their own communities telling them to put their plastic in recycling containers. Carpenter says they wanted to be transparent with their customers and tell them the truth, unlike companies that continue to tell customers that plastic, such as bags and containers, is being turned into new things. Politically, it's easier to just say, gosh, we're going to take everything and we think we can get it recycled, and then look the other way. Carpenter said of the other companies, that's greenwashing at its best. Greenpeace found a couple facilities are trying to reprocess cups and containers, sometimes called number 5s, because of the markings on the containers, but the numbers are low. While 52% of recycling facilities in the U.S. accept the kind of plastic, the report found less than 5% of it is actually repurposed, and the rest is put into landfill. Similarly, the National Association for PET Containers, Resources, and Industry Trade Group found in 2017 that only 21% of plastic bottles collected for recycling were turned into new things. The low processing rates are at odds with the plans from oil and gas industry. Industry lobbyists say they plan to recycle every piece of plastic they make into something new by 2040. In interviews with NPR, industry officials were unable to explain how they planned to reach a 100% recycling rate. An NPR investigative report found in 2020 that industry officials misled the public about the recyclability of plastic, even though their own reports showed they knew as early as the 1970s and the 80s that plastic could not economically be recycled. The American Chemistry Council, an industry lobby group, initially did not respond to NPR's request for comment on Greenpeace report. After Republican Joshua Baca, vice president of plastics for the group, sent an email to NPR calling Greenpeace's views misleading, out of touch, and misguided, he said the industry believes it is on the cusp of a circularity revolution, when it comes to recycling plastic by scaling up sortation, advanced recycling, and new partnerships that enable used plastic to be remade again and again. Environmentalists and lawmakers in some states are now pushing for legislation that bans single-use plastic and for bottle bills, which pay customers to bring back their plastic bottles. The bills have led to successful recycling rates for plastic bottles in places like Oregon and Michigan, but have faced steep resistance from plastic and oil industry lobbyists. The real solution is to switch to systems of reuse and refill, Ramsden said. We are at a decision point on plastic pollution. It is time for corporations to turn off the plastic tap. After years of embracing plastic recycling, many environmental groups say they hope the public will finally see plastic for what it is, trash, and that people will ask themselves if there is something else they could be using instead. Okay, that's that. Now, it was for a while, long time, I've been trying to come up with what else can I do. Like I've attempted, and my sister gave me some laundry detergent types things. They were little beads in a linen basket, and there was many uses in per whole container that you bought. Okay, that was great, but that was years ago. I have to come up with something new, and that's a little expensive outright for one shot. Okay, but I'm moving towards that, something new in that regard. It's not quite such a big lump sum of amount. It used to be for $75. It might be more than that now. Yeah, I don't have a lot of money, so I have to really spread my money around. And then as far as yogurt, etc., I eat a lot of yogurt. We eat a lot of yogurt. I usually get the big containers for myself, and then I get the smaller. I use Chobani and this yogurt that's um, of the Greek gods something. I always forget the name of it, but it's Greek goddess, and it's honey and honey vanilla flavor. It's really good. But anyway, and we use kefir a lot. You know, it's all plastic containers. So I've been thinking to myself, you know, I do cook a halfway decent amount, especially in the winter. You know, I make a lot of soup. During the holidays, I make bread. I'm thinking to myself, I need to cook more, like make my own bread. It reduces the plastic bags that, you know, the bread comes in. And then also I'm going to look up how to make yogurt. I mean, I don't know how good I'll be at it at first and how much I'll do it at first, but I'm going to practice for a while and come up with my own yogurt. I don't think my husband is going to eat my yogurt unless I get really super good at it, because I'm not going to make it sweet. We'll just have to add bananas and other fruit, maybe some honey. We even have some maple syrup somebody gave us. You know, add that sort of thing. I am so sick of plastic containers. I really am. I mean, I try to use the big plastic yogurt containers for other things. You know, we even use them to feed the chickens and stuff. But you know, you can just use just so many. You know, they build up, and it's just like ridiculous. I hate whenever I have to throw something away or we have to traipse it off to recycling, and you know it's not going to do anything. It's not helping. The answer is for it not to be made in the first place. So this is my thing. This is an example, okay, of what we really need to do. We need this is not something I'm judging people on, because I've been working on it for a while. I'm only sort of good at it. Just you know, get yourself off industrial civilization as much as you possibly can. We all have loved ones that don't want to do this. You know, you have kids, you have spouses that, you know, they don't want to deal with this. They don't want to, they want to go to the store and buy stuff. I've always bought my clothes secondhand. Very seldom, maybe somewhat in the 80s for a while because I met my husband. I went and bought new clothes for a little bit. But secondhand everything, you know, except underwear. But get yourself off industrial civilization as much as possible. We're all going to be using electricity for a while. As you can see, my kitchen is lit up pretty well. But we really have to, my electric bill was $300 this past month. We have a wood stove for heating, but we also use some small heaters and a sub pump downstairs that we really need. Our foundation really needs some work too. But anyway, so the best thing for anyone to do is think about how you can release yourself from industrial civilization. So one thing I'm planning on doing, I've been looking on Marketplace on Facebook to try to buy or retrieve some fire bricks. I'm going to put a big fire pit, barbecue, and maybe an oven outside these sliding doors. We don't even have a back deck back there yet. But not that it would be on the deck, but you know, to get out this back door, we don't use it much. But that's what my plan is, because that would require not using my gas stove at least 6 months or more of the year. Even in the wintertime, who knows? I mean, the winters are getting warmer and warmer. I could even cook out there in the winter sometimes on a decent day, you know? right up through into December if the weather holds. Off and on, we get these warm days. And it's been warm even in January now. So anytime I can, I could go out there and cook using old dead firewood, fallen pieces. There's a lot of it around here. A lot. There's woods in the back of my house, woods on the side of my house, and just driving around, we can pick up dead wood anywhere because the trees are falling all over the place. And we use a wood stove. So, and I don't want to hear anybody on here complain about wood. This is my home. I'm surviving. It's not an industry using biofuels. I mean, there's a big difference. The more industrial civilization we have, the more they're going to use any energy they can get their hands on. So, no, they should not be using wood for that. But we have a right to use whatever wood we can and to be economical with it or efficient with it. I wouldn't be burning wood to heat in the summer, but I can cook wood in the summer, which is way better than a gas or electric. And the other thing about eating and food is eat a lot of raw food that doesn't need to be cooked, especially when it's warm out, right? Lots of salads and things along those lines. So you don't always have to cook. But I want to get good. I haven't even started with this. I haven't been able to find any bricks yet, fire bricks. And, I could buy some years ago. I don't know, 10, 12 years ago. I started buying a few at a time at Lowe's, fire bricks. And I didn't get very far. I just got distracted with many other things, and I didn't collect them. And I ended up using them in a front lawn decor thing. I don't even know. It was a few bricks. I didn't get very many. They were cheap. So I can buy a few if I don't find enough. But we have to build something out back. And as industrial civilization does collapse, because the gas to cook with is going to get more and more expensive. So if I'm not spending money on a gas, I can use the money for other things like food, or if I have to run my car for some reason, or whatever, or pay for lighting, and many years ago, we had gotten some of the little solar things, and we were putting them outside, and we used them in the house at night for a while for like night lights and stuff. The kids were still here then. I mean, that's an idea, although that's another manufactured product, that you're going to be purchasing and creating demand for. So I don't know, you could get some of those, I suppose, which is maybe in the long run better than having to depend on electric lights. As far as green energy, I mean, I just got done listening to a deep green resistance YouTube video. I'm going to try to post it here. And, Derek Jensen, he wrote Bright Green Lies along with some other people in partnership, whatever. And the Robert Jensen was talking on this video, and it was a really good video. And it just brings to mind that the more we keep depending on industrial civilization, then it's not going to go anywhere. The way to end it, or one way to end it, to help end it, is to get away from it as much as possible. And I know that's putting the onus on the individual, but in the long run, the more people that stop consuming really frivolous stuff. I mean, another thing that I've thought of for years is party favors and party decorations. I mean, my kids were home years back, and they always wanted their birthday parties. You're not really going to save. You could. I didn't think of it quite back then. But you could save the party decorations from year to year. But, kids aren't always going to go for that unless they really start to understand and that producing party decorations is fossil fuel intensive. And then it goes in the garbage. I mean, that may seem insignificant when I say it, but think about it. How much energy is put into all this garbage? It's just garbage. As far as a birthday party for a kid, one family is not going to do it if nobody else is doing it. This is my other thing. as people realize, or want to make these changes, it's hard because if your neighbors aren't doing it or your relatives aren't doing it, you're going to look like that really odd man out, odd family out. And your kids are going to go, they're going to cry and they're going to be like, why can they have that and we can't? It's got to be a collective movement that people together make these commitments, even in some small ways in the beginning, to get off these, whatever you can pick, as many different things as you can pick to give up and sacrifice. And you'll be ready, more ready, when civilization ends. Of course, I don't think any of us are gonna be ready completely as it collapses and we have to completely depend on whatever we can drudge up. Sure, you could have some things stocked up. I've got a cupboard over there. It's got a few cans of things, but every time I get a stock, I end up having to use it somewhat, and it goes down. Some of the better things that I've had in the past was quite a few cans of canned salmon. Tuna, it's dry. You try to eat it without anything on it. But salmon, you can eat that right out of the can, and it's not that bad. Lots of canned tomatoes with herbs in it. You can throw into something to spice it up or whatever. And, or, for taste. Things along those lines. And keep a big stock of herbs and spices. I would love to get a stock of coffee, but I can never get up enough money to stock up really well on coffee. I've been a few bags ahead, but never that much. But it's like you're going to have to come to terms with what you and your family can do. And then, if you can talk to your neighbors in a way that's not going to make you a weirdo, because you're going to come across as that way, slowly try to reel them in, with as much information as you can, because there's nothing like social collateral. If you're already friends, that's a step forward already that you've made. But if you're not, try to make connections in other ways and see if you can make a bridge to them with whatever you can find in common. And over time, you can let out a little bit of this information here and there and make it seem very practical, because that's usually the way people accept things, is if they're practical for them. And add to that slowly over time, information about what's happening in the environment on a mass scale. Okay, that's the key that everybody has to keep in mind. Everything is on a mass scale, including entertainment and sports. Let's see, you might feel it's harmless to join in, on a football party and watch some football. But I mean, regardless of what we just saw with this young man, that's not really, that's bad enough, right? But let alone the energy footprint of professional sports is ridiculous. Why are we still doing this? It's a gladiator sport, basically, and we're wasting all of this energy and creating all this pollution from it. I've said this many times. Why can't the guys in your area go down to the park or in somebody's yard and play some tag or flag football? I mean, it would be way more fun, right? And they'd stay in shape. I mean, geez, how simple is that? We need to spread this around. We need to get away from. I know there's going to be massive amounts of resistance from the people that make money off these things. Massive amounts of resistance. But at least if you start some of this stuff, you're going to be ahead of the game as the dominoes start to fall. Be ready. Be prepared, at least in your head. Okay? This is the key. And then you can help those other people in your life or near you that won't be ready. You can help them mentally and emotionally. So I think that's all I'm going to say today. I had some more, I guess, but that's long enough. I think I'm going to have to come out again with something soon. Like I say, I'm trying to do more of these, and it's kind of hard. Oh, the astrological correlation, again, is Pluto and Capricorn. Capricorn is, oh, this full moon. That's what I was going to talk about. The full moon we just had, full moon in Cancer, meaning the sun is in Capricorn, the moon's in Cancer. I was thinking about it this morning, and it's like, how are we going to organize our homes? Cancer's the home. Cancer symbolizes domestic, nurturing energy. Okay, and nurturing energy, I want to say, and that sanctuary feeling you have when you're taking care of yourself emotionally. Okay, now Capricorn is the outer world. How are you taking care of yourself in the material world, in the structured world? So this full moon we just had kind of brought up all these things for me, having to decide in your home how you're going to deal with the environmental issues. So opposition, sun, moon, it's like a balance. You know, you have to come to terms with how you're going to balance these things out, right? And then that also correlates out to the outer world. How is the massive global structure going to manifest and change depending on how we handle ourselves publicly as consumers? If we could just divorce ourselves as much as possible from that larger system, right? It would really help to bring it to a screeching halt. Now, if you watch the video that Derek Jensen and the Deep Green Resistance Movement has put out, that will give you a clue. It's very, very involved with the way they explain things. They talk about not being self-righteous. They talk about being humble about the information you have, and how to handle things along those lines. It can be very difficult. I go up and down all the time. I've been pretty good for the last good few years. A couple of reasons is because I found other outlets of people that I can talk with and share with. I watch a couple of shows, YouTube videos. I'm going to say them now so that other people can go there. One is Environmental Coffee House with Sandy Shellis and Jennifer Hines, okay? And I'm going to say another one is Collapse Chronicles. Sam with his little dog does. These people read scientific articles and scientific journals, and they give out the information, and then they discuss it. And then there's others. There's Jim Science Talk with Jim Massa, okay? And these are really good places to go for the science, okay? I don't expect scientists to come here, and discuss astrology and astrological correlation to all this stuff again. So, but this is for astrologers. And then if you want more information, you can go to these sites: Environmental Coffee House on YouTube, Collapse Chronicles on YouTube, and Science Talk with Jim Massa. He's very involved with the science, okay, of the oceans. He's an oceanographer, okay. So I've been wanting to put these out here for people. And I appreciate the work that these people do very much. So, all right, I'm going to go now. And if there's any questions, you can comment, and I'll try to get back to you. Okay? Thank you for watching and Astrologer Climate Witness tonight. Bye.